Hello, 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 and welcome to my space, and welcome to episode 2 of There's an Oil for That. So, I am so excited to talk to you all today about a few things. So, we're going to talk about my spring collection, which I'm really excited about and I absolutely love. And I want any questions that you have for me. Please comment where you are joining us from and any questions that you might have. So, this morning, I feel like I want to start today with a nice deep breath. And I'm not sure why I feel that, but I feel like we kind of all have been collectively holding our breath a little bit. And so let's just start with some embodiment. Okay, so I'm going to just place one hand or two hands on your heart center, whatever you want. You can put one on your heart center, one on your belly, whatever feels great to you. I'm going to do two on my heart center. We want to just take two nice deep breaths in. Release out the nose. And take that breath all the way into your belly if you can first. Expand that belly huge. Thank you. Doesn't that feel wonderful? Oh, it always feels good to start with a little breath, doesn't it? Drops us from this space where we're most likely in toilet brain to the space where we are grounded into our bodies and fully aware of where we are and what we're doing and what we're about. So, welcome. Hi, Stacy. Good morning. Hi, Tracy. So great to have you guys here. Thank you for joining me. So, I want to start off with a little bit of a discussion about grief. Okay. So, on my Practicality and Magic show that I had last week with the beautiful Jennifer Beaumont, we touched a little bit on grief and how there is like this collective grief right now. The whole planet. We are experiencing grief in a lot of ways that we may not even realize or recognize as grief, but we're there. And a lot of it, we've all got it to some degree. And this in the collective is often about what we, the loss of what we knew, right? Like life is different now. We may go back to some normalcy in some things. Like I heard that, TSA is dropping their mask mandates and several places that, concert venues and things have no mandates now about testing or vaccines or anything. So in that realm, things are starting to go back to normal in some ways. And so we have that. However, life has changed forever because of these 2 years that we've been in, right? 2 years and some days. It's changed forever. What we've experienced these last 2 years are with us now. They're part of us. They're in our cellular makeup, and we'll heal, but we'll always remember. And so there is some grief to that. Okay. And there's also varying degrees of grief. There's different it comes in various kinds, okay? But at the basis of it, all grief is rooted in change, right? That something has changed. Something is different. And this can be anything from, losing someone we love, a human, a pet, or even a change that we want and something that we welcome. There can still be grief connected to that just because it's different, right? And there's a process, a transition process of going from what we know is normal to something new, a new normal. So all of that can bring grief, okay? So we just want to know about grief at the basis of it because I think it's important. Grief is Grief is very tricky and it can really trip us up. And if it's not identified, it can become really big and cause a lot of issues. Ooh, just that's some hair hanging out there for some reason. We don't know why, but alrighty. Anyway, sorry about that. Sorry for that little distraction. But it's tricky. And if we don't identify it, it can really wreak havoc and show up in other ways, right? That we don't want. And so, what we want is to really be aware of where grief is showing up for us. And then we can manage it, because that's what I think we do. Okay. Grief, and I don't want to say that we can never heal the grief. It's not that I don't think we can heal it. I think that what we want is to manage it. We want to find a way to make friends with it as best we can, right? That's our path to healing. But when we go at it as, I'm just going to heal from this grief, we can kind of jump over some really important steps that don't get addressed along the way, that make us not really heal, that make it then show up even bigger, right? In other ways. So it's really important that we give it its due and that we come at it from the space of management. So I'd love to know what you guys think about that. Like, where are you seeing grief? Are you seeing it showing up in your life in any way? And what are your questions about it? So, as I said before, this grief journey is really tricky. It's and it's very personal. My grief, I'm going to have my grief the way that I'm going to have it, and it's probably not the same as your grief. We can even be in the same situation, right? Like, I noticed that the way that I grieved the loss of my parents was very different than the way that my sisters did, right? We all have our own journey. It's not one is better or one is worse. It's just we all have our own unique journey. And it's important that we allow that, not only for ourselves, but for others. We don't want to place on somebody else, this is how you need to grieve. This is how your journey needs to go. This is the only way you can process it, because it's not true. We all have our own unique way, and it's dependent on where we're at in the moment, right? So how I grieve now, something might be different than how I grieved, even 2 months ago, because I'm further along in my process, or, I'm further along in my healing journey, whatever it is, right? So allow yourself to have your own journey, your own process, and also allow others to have theirs. Okay, that's hard. I know it's hard. We feel like we know good ways, and we feel like we know what'll help, but suggestions are good, right? Suggestions. So, one of the things that I've been talking with my friends and clients and myself about the past several weeks is this interesting thing that happens when we grieve. So let's say we have a loss. I have several people, unfortunately, recently who've had losses of pets that are family members, right? So if you have pets that are family, you'll understand this. If you don't, you may not, but trust me, it is a grief that is as deep and as wide that'll bring you to your knees like no other when you lose a pet that's a family member. So we have this happen, and it can be any grief that's big, right? But what can happen is we're grieving this particular situation, this grief that is current, right? And then in the mix of that, all this other stuff comes up. Grief about other situations, or not even grief about other situations. It can just bring up other situations that maybe we thought we had put to bed, maybe we thought we had healed from, maybe we thought we had done all that we needed to, and boom, here it is again, right? What is it doing here? Well, that's what happens. Our heart is hurt, right? Our wounds are open. And so our intuitive self sees this as an opportunity, right? Our wound is open, our heart center is open. Let's go in. And while we're dealing with this, we'll also make some headway with this other thing, right? And it's confusing because we're like, why am I thinking about this? This is the last thing I want to think about when I'm dealing with my loss that's in front of me, when I'm grieving this person or this situation or this fur baby, whatever it is, right? We're like, I want to deal with this. I do not want to deal with this. But our soul, our intuitive self knows this is a great time to work on both, right? It's not what we feel we want. It's not how it feels perfect, but it's what's needed. So in these situations, the best thing we can do is allow, is to just be with it and to not force it away, right? Not force it to us, but just allow. Be willing to give it the time and space that it needs. So that doesn't mean that you have to go into a full-fledged processing with it. Sometimes what that simply means is not resisting it and saying, I see you, I hear you, I feel you, and I'm just going to allow you to have the space. I don't have the energy to work on it. I don't have the energy to give time and attention to it, but I'm also not going to push it out of my space. Okay. And if that's where you're at and that's the best you can do, perfection. Okay. Because with grief and with the other grieving that comes from other wounds, right? That happen to come up when our heart center is open and we're working with this one wound and others come up. The trick is to accept it and to allow it to have its time and attention and to not push it away. When we push it away, that does the opposite of what we want. Not only does it make it heightens it, right? It makes it bigger, but it makes it harder for us to deal with it the next time. Okay. So it just undoes everything that we're trying to do. So we really want to be careful about that. And when you're grieving now and the situation at hand and something else, a past wound or a past trauma or hurt or something you've already grieved. Oh, excuse me. Oh, goodness. Lots of energy this morning. I can just feel it moving in. And when you're yawning, that means that you need to release energy, right? So I'm going to put my hands on my heart again and take a nice breath. You might want to do that with me. Beautiful. The trick is to know that there's absolutely nothing wrong with you when this happens. There is nothing wrong. You didn't do anything wrong with the prior situation, and you're not doing anything wrong now. It's just an opportunity to create more space. It's an opportunity to let those really heavy emotions move. And let's have a little emotion 101 here, right? Getting back to the basics, because sometimes we need these reminders. We forget. We get moving so forward in our journey and onto these big ideas and these big paradigm shifts and things like that, that we forget about these very simple things. Everything that we feel, all emotions are energy. They're all energy. And what energy means is that it wants to move, right? What is an emotion? Energy in motion, which means that it wants to be in motion. It wants to move. It wants to be in movement. So we've got two types of emotions, right? We've got the high vibe joy emotions, love emotions that are super high vibe, and they move really quickly. They go really, really fast. And then we've got the heavier ones, right? Like the grief, the anxiety, the depression, the fear. Those are lower. They're heavier. So they move slowly, right? So we've got the ones that move really, really fast. And then we've got the ones that move slow. Now, they all want to stay in motion. That's the trick. That's the important thing that we need to remember. Even the heavy ones, they want to still move. They want to be in continuous movement. And when we allow them to have their space, that doesn't mean that we have to deep dive into them. Just means not rejecting it, not resisting it, not pushing it down and away, right? That just makes it heavier, and actually doesn't just make it heavier. It makes it not be in motion, right? It stops the motion, which is exactly what we do not want. So don't say it's wrong. Don't push it away. Just allow it. And what happens when we allow those heavy emotions? Okay. They keep moving. And guess what? They move up and out. which is what we want. We want them moving up and out. We do not want them landing in our physical and energetic bodies, right? Making us heavy and making it hard for us to move through this human life, right? We don't want that. We want them moving. We want them staying in motion and moving up and out so that they're not hanging out in our energetic and our physical body and our liver, right? This is really key to a healthy liver. Okay. So when something comes up, it's all perfect. It's how you're meant to grieve. Okay. So I've been thinking about grief a lot this week. It's interesting. I've been doing a lot of painting and a lot of things in my house, and that's very meditative for me. And I've been dealing with a lot of grief. Like my whole life, as I said last week, like I think I went to my first funeral for an uncle I loved when I was like 4. And so it's been pretty much my whole life. And the last year, especially, has been a tremendous amount of grief that I've never really known, grief that's been new to me, and the type of grief. And it's been a real challenge. But the good news is that I'm really a grief expert now, right? Because I've done this. I've been on this journey and I've done it, and I know what works and I know what doesn't. And sometimes knowing what doesn't work is every bit as important, if not more important, than knowing what does work. So we've got to be really, really aware of that. Okay. So this week, as I've been really thinking about grief, I've been thinking about this saying, and I think it's Carolyn Myss, that says, "Great nature doesn't grieve." Okay. And I got to see that firsthand this week because on Sunday I had these gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous daffodils and tulips. And then on Tuesday it snowed. Okay. And so they were just like, and they were fine. The minute that the snow left, they were back in full bloom. Beautiful. And they're not grieving the fact that, they were under snow for a while and were less than, their stellar self. So it got me thinking a lot about, nature doesn't grieve, but we do, right? We do have this emotion of grief. It's purposeful. It's present. We can't get around the fact of that, right? So nature doesn't grieve. That's great. But we as humans do. Okay. So we like to look to nature for our guide, right? But we don't want to look at nature literally this time as nature doesn't grieve. What I would suggest and what I did this week is look at it as a guide to allowing the grief its movement, allowing the grief its time and space, right? Allowing the quiet and the stillness. That's what the daffodils and the tulips did. They didn't fight against that snow. If they had fought against that snow, those stems would have broken and they would have been dead, right? There would have been no more tulips and daffodils to rebound after that snow. So we want to look at nature as ways that we can help, but remembering that we're human, we're spiritual beings, right? We're nature here in a human body. Here to have human experience, and grief is a very real part of that experience, right? We're here to have the full human experience, all the joy, all the pain, and everything in between. How we do that and how much grace we bring to our journey is up to us, right? So can we find the stillness? Can we find the quiet? Can we find the acceptance with the grief that we're in? That's the trick. And if you allow yourself that in this space, you will be leaps and bounds ahead, right? And you'll be really doing yourself a service and a favor. And you'll really grow your intuition because you'll know that you can trust yourself, right? When we feel emotions and we tell ourselves we shouldn't be or we don't want to, we degrade our self-trust. And that does nothing for helping our intuition. Excuse me. Okay, so it's a Friday morning. I don't know what's going on with me today. So my spring collection, I'm so excited. I just have to laugh. Let me take one more breath. My brain is working faster than my mouth. And that is all about the spring season, people. Okay. I am like physically exhibiting spring for you here unintentionally, but it's happening. This is what happens with spring. Our brain, because spring is ruled by the element of air, our brain gets ahead of us. Our brain gets ahead of us and really asks us to move faster than our physical body is ready, or our emotional body, or our energetic body. So we want to be really mindful of that. So anyway, my spring collection launched last Friday, and I'm so excited about it. And I'm so in love with it. And I want to talk to you about 3 of the products. I'm going to do these in little nuggets, right? Because I want you to know, really what these products are for and why they're part of the spring collection. Okay. So the first one that I'm going to talk about is my Protect. Okay. Protect is a spray and an oil. Okay. This is a really high vibe blend. It's all citrus and flowers. Okay. So it's completely for our heart center and our mood. Okay. It's really, really great for our mood. And what it does is it's 2 parts, right? It's a 2-part blend that is so fabulous and so miraculous. So it, first of all, goes into our heart center and it cleans and clears all the debris that we take on from other people, all of us that are sensitives and empaths, which, by the way, I believe all of us are to varying degrees, right? Every human is an empath. Some of us are just much more of an empath than others, but we all are to some degree. So it goes in and it cleans and clears all of that. We also can have debris in our heart center and in our energetic body that is from us and our self-criticism and our how challenging and difficult we are on ourselves. All right. That negative self-talk lands in us as positive ions. And those positive ions don't go anywhere unless we have a negative ion that attaches and pulls them out. The Protect is that, okay, especially the spray because it has the added benefit of the complete salt, okay? So why is this part of, oh, I want to say one more thing about Protect. Not only does it clean and clear, but it provides a protective bubble around us. So as it's cleaned and cleared our heart center and our energetic body, it provides a protective bubble so that we do not take on more, right? So that we don't just replace all that we've cleaned, right? And it has the added benefit of not allowing us to siphon our energy off to other people, which is important for 2 reasons. Number one, we want to keep our energy. We need our energy, right? Our energy is very important and we want to keep the stores that we have. And number 2, we don't want to be an energy vampire. We don't want to be like giving all of our yucky energy, right, to other people, and we don't want to be taking theirs. So it protects us and it protects the people that we're around, which is very important. So why is this part of my spring collection? Well, spring cleaning, right? Can't have spring without thinking about spring cleaning. I mean, my gosh, that was every spring and growing up. We cleaned, we washed all the walls, we cleaned the closets, we moved the furniture and cleaned and rearranged, and it was beautiful, right? It's beautiful. It feels good. We're ready to open the windows and let in the fresh air, right? So it's all about cleanup. And there's a lot of residual energy and emotions and junk that we've got in our heart center from the winter, right? It's just part of life. It just is. We did a lot of shadow work in the winter, right? Whether it was intentional or not, we did a lot of shadow work. And so we want to clean up all the residual from that. And it's important to do the proper cleaning so that you can fully be in the spring, right? So that your mind will not be ahead of the game, so that your mind and your body, energetic and physical, will be in the same realm. They will be in sync. They'll be at the same frequency. Okay. And it's really important so that you can really ground into the season and, fully be in the essence of spring and get all from it that you want, right? Okay, so this is the time when we're planting, right? Spring is the time of planting. So we want to be really aware of planting. And it's so funny because, I've been seeing a lot of on the social platforms lately, a lot of people saying, people, what are you thinking? Don't plant anything before the 20th of May or before Mother's Day or before this or before that. And, this is what happens. We get some nice days, we get some nice weather, we get some warmth, and we're like, plant, let's plant. But it's not time yet. If you want your plants to survive, right? If you want your seeds, if you want to set yourself up for success with your garden, right? It's not time yet. So this is the time when we're really cultivating and deciding what seeds we want to plant. We've got another month or so, right? Before the planting season. So let's really utilize it. Let's really make sure that we are setting ourselves up for success with our summer harvest, right? That's what spring is all about. Setting ourselves up, cleaning and clearing, and getting clear about what we want to plant to harvest in spring. Protect will be the perfect modality tool to help you clean and clear so that because the bottom line is when our heart center is loaded with junk and gunk, and it might be ours, might be other people's, we don't know. We can't really know what's for us or what's not for us, right? We don't know. It's not clear. We can't land in it. So we got to do that very important spring cleaning. All right. The next product is Heal. Oh, this is a must for spring. Okay. Actually, like Protect and Heal are the go-tos that I say everybody needs to have all the time, right? Like these are the two that I carry with me everywhere I go. Okay. Because I never know when I'm going to be at the store or someplace where somebody just has such gunky energy that I need to clean and clear and put my bubble up, right? This helps. And then with the Heal, this is just, hand sanitizer, the best hand sanitizer. And it just cleans and clears in such a beautiful way. So this blend is all spices. Oh, I want to say also, Heal comes in a regular spray, a nasal spray, an essential oil, and a scrub for spring. The nasal spray, I started using this about 5 or 6 years ago, and it took away my seasonal allergies. Done. One that year, I just kept having the feeling that I wanted to spray this up my nose. And I thought, well, that's crazy. And then I thought, well, they make nasal sprays. I bet I could find a nasal sprayer. And I did, and I tried it. And that was the first year I didn't have allergies in my entire life. Okay. So I'm going on 6 years now of no seasonal allergies. What a gift. Okay. So I really highly recommend the nasal spray. So this blend is beautiful. It's spices, it's herbs, it's flowers. Okay. It's very, very medicinal. So what does that mean, medicinal? Right? It means that it helps us with our healing, right? It helps us to heal, not put a Band-Aid on it, not slap a Band-Aid on and go good for now. It helps us to actually heal on the deepest levels. And what I love about this blend, Heal, is that it doesn't just heal on the physical. It helps us emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. Okay. So it's anti-everything. It's all of the antis: antimicrobial, antibacterial, antiviral, antifungal, right? So whatever you have, it'll help with. It's really, really important. This was created because I had a woman who asked me to create something for fungus on the feet. Okay. So she was a manicurist and a pedicurist, and she wanted something that she could put in the water to help kill and help disinfect her utensils and things that was not harmful, right, to all the good bacteria. And so I created it. And as with any blend that I create for anyone, I use it myself and see what it does and see how, what properties it has and how effective it is in certain areas. And boy, was I ever surprised when I started using this and I realized what it was doing for my fortitude, okay, for my vitality. It was unbelievable, okay? So it like I said, it kills, it's anti everything, plus it kills airborne germs. But what I noticed for myself in a huge way was the more I used it, it boosted my immune system, right? Which was a huge win. That alone is worth the price of admission, right? But it has this other really, really beautiful component, and that is that it helps with soul fatigue. Now, what is soul fatigue? Soul fatigue is what I call the fatigue that we have that's on a soul level. So it's not touched with more sleep, more green juice, more exercise. Those kinds of physical things don't really help it. They might help it a little bit, but they don't go in as deep as we need it. This does. This goes in super deep. And that's what I realized when I created it 9 years ago, whenever it was that, oh my goodness, I'm feeling energized and I'm feeling soul vitality, right? I'm not feeling that fatigue that I was feeling. And that is everything. So, why is it part of the spring collection? Because it's part of the cleaning crew, right? It's medicinal, so it's going to heal us on those deepest levels, right? And it's got that added benefit of the soul fatigue, really, really replenishing our vitality, our soul vitality, which, let's face it, guys, we all need that so much right now. There are so many of us that feel depleted and just, tired. We've got fatigue, and it's not just a physical tired, it's a soul tired. We're working hard and we're trying to raise the vibe of ourselves and our planet and help people as much as we can. And it takes a toll. Heal will help. Heal will help with that toll. Okay. And the third product that we're going to talk about today is a resilience scrub, which I just can't get enough of this, honestly. I mean, I cannot get enough of it. So, really, when we're resilient, we're able to recover quickly from difficult situations. Okay. Now, we need this in spades right now, like by the gallon, right? That's how I'm using it. I'm using it 3, 4, 5 times a day on my hands to wash my hands. I use it very intentionally. I put a little bit in my hands, a little like a nickel or a quarter size, put a little bit of warm water to soften it and moisten it. And then I rub it through my hands. And as I'm rubbing it through my hands, around my hands, in between each finger, on each finger, I am literally holding the intention to clean and clear as deeply as I can my physical, my emotional, and my energetic body, to rid it from whatever debris and to bring the resilience that I need to live in today's world, right? We need that resiliency now more than ever, maybe. Okay. And those tulips and daffodils that I was talking about earlier, that's what we can learn from nature as well, is a tremendous resiliency. They were up, vibrant, beautiful, vital on Sunday. And then on Tuesday, they're just smashed to the ground, right? But they're resilient because as soon as the snow melted, pop, there they were, ready to bring beauty into the world and provide food for the insects and things. And so we really want to be mindful of that, right? And we've really got to have resiliency in this season, right? This was one of the products that was included in my Grown Up Timeout Plus for winter, because I felt like we needed resiliency then. And I included it in the spring collection because we still need resiliency. We need to embrace the yin. And the thing that I love about this product is it's very simple, right? It's got 3 ingredients. That's it. It's got complete salt. It's got beautiful, clean coconut oil, and it's got ashwagandha bala oil, which is all about our yin and the divine feminine and really connecting to that. And that is where we find the strength to be resilient, right? We think that our human brain tells us that the resiliency and the strength to be resilient is found in the yang and the action. It isn't. We've got to ground into that space of stillness and quiet in order to connect to all the resiliency that's within us, right? That's the first step. We've got to ground into that. Then we can take the action. And then because we're resilient, right? We'll know what the action is. Is it stillness? Is it quiet? Or is it actually doing something? Is it speaking? Is it doing, right? Even though, I mean, I want to make sure that we all know that stillness and quiet, those are doing as well. It's just a different way of doing, right? Than what we're typically traditionally used to. But this is an incredible product. So, you know, you'll find these on my site, michellesnelling.com. If you have any questions, I would love to know what your questions are. If you want a product recommendation, personal product recommendation, this is really important because it isn't one size fits all, right? So with some things I said, you might think, oh, Protect resonates. I need Protect. And yeah, I bet you do. But you might also need something else to go with it, right? Let me tune into your energy and let you know what will be the perfect combination or what you need right now. It might not be Protect right now. You might need something before the Protect. You might need to use something for a while before you bring the Protect in. Okay. It's really a fine, it's a beautiful, journey and dance that we do with what we need when, right? What product is going to resonate with us and work really well for us at the moment. And it's not always easy to know that's my specialty, that's my gift, that's my genius. So put me to use. Let me help you with that and recommend. So if you want a recommendation, I would love for you to message me, Michelle at michellesnelling.com, Michelle with 1 L, Snelling with 2. And, just say, I would like a recommendation and I'd be happy to get that to you. And if you know that you want any of the spring products, the Protect, the Heal, or the Resilient that we've talked about, you'll find those at michellesnelling.com along with all the other spring products that we haven't gotten to yet. So if you guys need help with anything, product recommendations, if you help with your grief journey, if you need help with just knowing where you're at and you don't know where to go. Sometimes we feel like we're lost. Our compass is literally, wackadoodle and we don't know how to recalibrate it. I can help with that. I would love to help with that. So you can book a session with me at michellesnelling.com. And what we're going to do in that session is I'm not just going to tell you a bunch of stuff that I think or what I see. I'm going to teach you how to recalibrate your compass. And I'm going to teach you how to know what's best for you, which is what this is all about. It's not about us knowing where to go for the answers. It's about us knowing where to go for some answers and then the education of how to find those answers on our own. That's what I'm here for, right? I'm here to teach you and educate you on how to do that for yourself. So I would love to help you with that. Again, michellesnelling.com. You can find the products. You can find you can sign up for a private one-on-one session with me. And I've got a few things coming up. I'm going to have a class on a frequency class, but it's going to be a 2-parter. And I'm so excited because we're going to first do some cleaning and clearing. We're going to do some really big cleanup, some spring cleanup of cord cutting and pattern cutting and energetic clearing. And I'm going to teach you a wonderful way to do that is foolproof and easy and quick, okay, and lasting. So we're going to start off, it's a 2-part. So we're going to start off with that. And then we're going to do the second part, which is all about frequency and knowing your frequency and how to determine if something is the frequency that you want, the frequency that you need. Because if we're using things that are not at our frequency or higher, they're not going to be effective. And we're wasting our time, our money, and our energy. And we don't want that. So this is going to be a great class. I've also, just last night, I was guided that I need to open up a few more spots in my Grown Up Timeout Plus. I've started to put a cap on them because I feel like it's better for me. It's better for the participants. We just get more out of it, but I'm going to extend it by 2 or 3. So if you're interested in that, and what that is basically, it is your guide for the season of spring, right? It's going to ground you into the essence of the season. It's going to help you to clean and clear everything that you need so that you know what seeds you want to plant. You're clear about it. so that we can have success with the harvest in the summer. And it's everything that you need. It's a pampering kit full of beautiful products. And by the way, this pampering kit has at least 2 brand new products that nobody's experienced before other than me. Okay. So it's got at least 2 brand new products. So you get a beautiful pampering kit that supports you through the whole season. You get one-on-one time with me. You get videos, you get guided meditations, you get a live, virtual, and in person, if you're in person, time out where we experience the products and have a little ceremony. It's always beautiful. You get a playlist of music. You get a playlist of all the videos at the end of the season, everything that we've done that's recorded so that it's yours forever, to keep forever. Because let me tell you something, guys, we don't only need the spring tools and support in the spring. We can be in the fall and need some spring support. And if you join me for my spring Grown Up Timeout Plus, you have those forever for all the seasons to come. So it's a great thing. It's such a big bang for your buck. And I would love to have you join me. If you're interested in that, please message me. And thank you so much for being here today. I love you. I appreciate you. Have an absolutely gorgeous Friday. And we got a full moon coming up this weekend. So enjoy that too. And Easter. Such a holy weekend. Today is Good Friday. Tomorrow's Holy Saturday. And then we've got Easter on Sunday. So I hope that you can find some time in your busy schedule to, have some sacred time for yourself this weekend to just connect to the essence of Easter, what needs to be let go of, what needs to die in order so that we can be reborn, so that we can birth all that we want to. And Tracy says, I have loved all of my past recommendations. They have been spot on. Thank you so much, Tracy. I appreciate that. I appreciate you telling me that. And that's typically what happens. Even when people, sometimes I recommend and they're looking at me like I've got, like I'm nuts, and they don't get it at all. And I encourage them just to try it. And inevitably, I always get a message back saying, thank you for, being so clear. And so, not wavering on your recommendation, because it did exactly what you said it would, and it worked. And that is what's important. We want products that work, and mine do. And so let's get you aligned with the perfect products for you and this spring season. I love you all. Thank you so much. Have an absolutely beautiful, like I said, holy weekend, and we will talk soon.